Ryan D at ZZP here today, guys, and today we're going to talk about wheel setups. All right, so without going into way too much of a rant, we're going to talk about the different kind of wheel setups you can have for your vehicles today. So they're going to go over three main specs that you're going to have to look for when you're deciding on a wheel choice. Number one, diameter. Number two, offset. And number three, width. To disclaimer at the beginning, we do always suggest you go with a reputable brand of wheels. In general, they're going to be lighter. They're going to hold up better, like in case of any accidents, potholes, et cetera, et cetera. And overall, you're going to get a lot of worth for your money. So, number one we're going to talk about is diameter. In many cases, the diameter of your wheel is a personal choice. Some use it aesthetically, but if you're doing it for a very specific type of racing, you may be kind of more limited, also depending on your platform. Obviously, some cars with smaller wheel wells are only going to be able to run, a 16 or 17 inch wheel without, having to do a lot of modifications to make it fit. But hey, where there's a will, there's a way. Versus larger cars, and larger cars with larger wheel wells, for instance, like the Camaro, will be able to start off with a much wider diameter in wheels, like stock that come with 20 inch wheels, versus, cars like your Cobalts and your ATS are going to come with 17s or 18s, depending on which version you get. So kind of always there, a lot of people like to go up just one size. Some people like to go up, 2 or 3 sizes. Some people even go down if they're doing more track-oriented stuff like drag racing, road coursing, things like that. So the number one thing you want to actually do is decide what wheel diameter that you want to use. So usually average, just recommended on the Cobalts. I always like the look of an 18-inch wheel. On the ATS, I like the look of a 19-inch wheel. It's kind of a very balanced look for it. I personally think 20s are a little too large for the ATS. The Camaro, 19 or 20-inch wheels are always a good recommendation as well. Grand Prix, you can run anything. You can run a 17, 18, 19, etc. And then the Sonics, they look good on either 17s or 18s usually. So just a little bit of recommendation there. Also, just keep in mind your budgets for stuff too, because the larger the diameter of your wheel, the larger diameter of your tires as well. And usually when you go up in diameter, tire size gets a little more expensive as well. Number two, offset. This is something a lot of people don't really understand. You'll commonly see things like 18 by 9.5 plus 30 on a wheel spec that you're looking to buy. So what does this plus 30 mean? That means that the back of the hub is 30 millimeters away from the center of the wheel. So again, that means that from the center of the wheel, if you cut a wheel in half, right down the middle, that'll be a 0 offset. And then 30 millimeters out is positive offset. So that'll be a plus 30. So the more negative the offset, like negative 10, 0, 20, that's going to be how far the back of that hub is away from the center of the wheel. So if you have a 0 offset, the back of the hub is directly in the center of the wheel. Usually with a lower offset, the wheel is more concave, has a real cool look, but however, it may do what's called poking. A poke is basically when the wheel sits farther out than the fender of the vehicle. So some people like a little bit of poke, so they want to have the wheel sitting a little farther than the edge of the fender. Other people don't like any poke at all because it can lead to things like rubbing, and obviously that can destroy your tires pretty quickly as well. And make sure it's going to clear everything on the suspension side as well, because a higher offset, too high of an offset, may actually end up hitting suspension things depending on how much clearance you have. Which just leads us into our last bit, is the width. So the width obviously is how wide the tire is. If you have a front wheel drive car and you don't have that much wheel well clearance, you probably don't want to try to run an 11-inch wide wheel. That's something that will have a serious amount of poke, as we just talked about. So something that you want to decide is try to optimize your amount of wheel spacing. Some people have different styles of it. Some people want to tuck when they lower their car. Other people want to be right at the fender for what's called a flush setup. So kind of keeping the fender even with the outside edge or outside face of the wheel. Do a little bit of measuring. A good tool for this is willtheyfit.com. We use that a lot for measuring and seeing the distance of how a wheel step is going to change, how much is going to poke, how much is going to be inset. And there are quite a few different ways to kind of measure kind of what you're looking for. Kind of a bonus one I'm going to mention too, something that I actually should say there's 4 special things, is your wheel pattern. Wheel pattern is incredibly important. Basically, not all cars have the same wheel or bolt pattern. bolt pattern is usually something to the numbers like 4 by 100, 5 by 110, 5 by 120, 6 by 100, things like that. So what you need to do is pick the same exact one as your factory wheel setup. If you have any questions on that, you can always email us, and we kind of know our bolt patterns off the top of our heads. Kind of keep all these in mind. So let's go over them again. So we have the diameter, offset, and then from offset you have the width, and from the wear you have your bolt pattern. So keep those 4 things in mind when choosing your wheels to have a sweet ride that'll also turn the heads of everyone you're driving past, as well as be lighter and better performing on your track or just your daily commute to your job. All right? This is all for me today, guys. Again, you can contact us at customer service at ZZPerformance.com, or as usual, Ryan.D at ZZP. We'll see you guys next time.